Welcome to the Blueprints Podcast. On today's show, I have an amazing guest with us, Dave Johnson, and we're going to get to learn a little bit about his story and the blueprint for his life so far. So Dave, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Glad to have you here. Why don't you just start high level and just kind of tell everybody about, what you do, what's a day-to-day life. And Dave is an entrepreneur, so he's going to just share your adventures with us.
Yeah. So I guess, I have been married for 21 years and have two amazing kids, wonderful wife. And, together we have had quite the journey from full-time ministry to transitioning now to owning businesses.
Okay.
And, our goal right now is, 17 companies. And then the mission part of that is to seed into the kingdom or, basically serve people and solve problems.
Gotcha. Serve people and solve problems.
So yeah.
When you're in business, there's a lot of opportunity to serve people and solve problems, right?
There is. Everybody's calling with whatever their problem is. And if we're able to solve that problem and serve them at the same time somehow, I mean, that's good.
Well, how'd you get started? I think people are always kind of curious you have this vision for 17 businesses, but tell us just how you got started with the first business.
Yeah. So long story short, I've always had a passion for business. I mean, even in junior high, I sold candy out of my locker.
Okay.
I'd go to our local hospital, I'd buy penny candy and resell it from anywhere from 10 cents to 25 cents out of my locker. I'll never forget the day that I had a small crowd of people around my locker because they're trying to buy, in between classes real fast. And the principal comes over and he goes, "What are you guys doing here?" And we're not allowed to sell candy at school. So he ends up giving me $1, taking the candy. I went to his office later and he had ate all the candy. He goes, "I bought it. Buck." Just so I've always been in business of some sort. But over the years, it's morphed to owning coffee shops. And then now it's we have 12 companies from property management to jewelry to cleaning companies to glass and screen shops, you name it.
Yeah.
And they all kind of serve each other. But at the same time, they're there, like I said, to solve problems, serve people.
Right. So tell me about the name of your company. Is it for the
our property management company? Yeah. So that is called Simply Live. So our goal was to have a company where the owners and the tenants could just do that. Just sit back, simply live. We'll do all the work for you. So kind of that concierge service when it comes to management.
Yeah. And property management's a pretty complex business. How did you end up getting involved into property management?
So, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
How did I get involved?
Well, I think this is really relevant to our listeners, just because so many entrepreneurs, sometimes we just end up, and we don't really know exactly how we got there, but then we just run with it, and then the vision grows over time. So I'd love to hear just kind of how that first one got started. And after the candy sales, I was wondering if that principal was going to try to get some taxes out of that, but it sounds like you actually bought all your goods. So.
It was suspension or $1 for all your candy.
Nice. Love it.
It was a good trade, in my opinion.
Sounds good.
No, it was, I remember, what was it? About 2008.
Okay.
During that, that crash towards the end right there, the market crash.
Do I remember that? Yeah.
I remember being there. I worked for a paper shredding company and I got pulled in September, got told, you got the second highest review out of the entire plant. We're going to give you a 50-cent raise. I'm like, yeah, newly married, second house. We had 2 houses, child. And I think, if I remember right, I think my wife might have been pregnant at that time as well.
Okay. 2 houses?
We had 2 houses.
You lived in one and you lived in one? Or?
We had our first house that we had. And I was like, let's turn this into a rental, which was at that time, a horrible situation because I didn't know what I was doing.
Gotcha.
I just was like, yeah, let's rent. You give me money, I'll give you a place type thing.
Yeah.
And so long story short, September, I got pulled in, second highest review, 50-cent raise. 30 days later to the day, I get pulled in and they said, "You're one of the highest paid people. Today is your last day." And I remember looking at them, it's kind of sarcastically going, "Is it the 50-cent raise? Because you can have it back." And they said, "No, the owner sold the company and it was a handshake agreement for 60 to 90 days. They wouldn't make any changes." Well, that's today they're making changes.
Gotcha.
And so that kind of launched me to figure out, what am I going to do? I got a wife, I got a child, I got mortgages. Yeah. What am I going to do? And so I met with all my mentors and not asking for a job, but just asking for advice and wisdom. And one of them had said, "Dave, I got a job I'll offer you today. He says, I don't think you need to take it, but I have a job you can have today. And I was thankful, but after thinking about it, I was like, no, I'm not going to do this. We're going to try something different. So we launched out into just doing odd jobs, handyman stuff here and there. And that morphed to one day me being at a coffee shop in a small town here in Michigan and hearing all these old men at the table complain about their tenants. And it was one of those shops, those restaurants where you could just interrupt any table you wanted.
Right.
I interrupted and said, hey, I think I can help you. So give me your information, listen to their problems.
Yeah.
I went home and just started Googling everything. And that's what started at that time, Dave Johnson Property Management.
Okay.
I went back to them and I out of all that whole table, I got one owner that had 12 properties.
Nice.
And that was short-lived, but that kind of sparked this passion, this desire to help people like that.
Love it. And that was in, you said 2008, 9?
That was,
era?
Yeah, that was 2008 or 9, right around that time frame.
There was a lot of real estate pain going on during that time. So you kind of got in at a good time. There was a lot of transactions happening, people losing properties, people gaining properties, a lot of pain in the marketplace.
Definitely was. And there was a lot of opportunity at the same time for growth.
Exactly.
Because if you could get into with those people that were struggling or having issues, and if you could figure out a way to truly help them.
Yeah, I had 3 or 4 properties that I could have used your help with during that time.
I would have loved to.
Yeah. Tell me, just kind of going back a little bit in your story, I'm really kind of curious. You said you got called in 30 days later, and after you left there, you just lost your job. You said you had how many kids at that time?
We had one kid.
Okay.
I think my wife may have been pregnant. She would know the dates.
Yeah. We won't hold you to anything here. So, well, what were you feeling? What emotions?
Oh my word!
What emotions did you feel? Because I think as entrepreneurs go through life, I mean, a big part of this growth for us is dealing with our emotions. And so just share like what you were feeling. And then you said you talked to your mentors and kind of just walk us down that path a little bit of what that felt like, what your experience was, from reality.
So internally and externally, 2 different things. Internally, I felt like a failure.
Yeah.
I felt like a failure, not only in life, in providing, but as a husband.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't keep a job. I got a wife that's depending on me. And my wife is a stay-at-home mom and always has been.
Yeah.
She's amazing. And she, but I know I felt like that failure. I felt like just inadequate.
Yeah.
Is the proper term. I remember on my way home, I had this idea. We are big in our church, and we had made a pledge to give to a building program. And I was like, if I don't do this, we're not going to. So on my way home, without even talking to my wife, I called the church up and said, here's my card number. I need to pay off this pledge. And paid it off. Then I go home. And if my wife had not responded the way she does, I don't know if things would be the same today. I went home and I said, hey, hon, I got to talk to you. I got to tell you something. She knew by my tone there's something serious.
Yeah.
So I sat down with her, explained what just happened. She looked at me. She said, I love you. And she goes, we will get through this. And she goes, I speak that we will never feel the effects of this.
Yeah.
And she knew that I was willing. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I'm a guy that wants to provide for their family in this house. But she knew I'd go out and grab any job I could just to be able to provide.
Right.
But she told me, she said, in that same conversation, she goes, I think this is a time for you just to sit back and just let's see what God wants for us.
Yeah.
And then right after that conversation, she looked at me and said, can I still go buy the curtains that we were going to purchase? After I just lost my job, I'm like, sure.
Yeah. We got one more paycheck coming, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, really. I mean, that point, you may have, dabbled in this thing and that thing, but now you're full on. And so just what was the next step? So you met with the mentors and then, off you launched, and then life will kind of continue down your life journey, but it's pretty interesting. You got into ministry. And so my first side gig, I call it, was painting a chimney. Okay.
And there was a pastor in a town that just said, hey, I can't find anybody to paint my chimney for my budget. And I said, well, how much is it? And they're like, I got $100. And I'm like, well, that's why. I'm thinking in my head, that's why you can't find somebody. But I'm like, I need money. Yeah. So I was like, I'll paint it. And I remember now I would have totally not passed that quality check that I have for my guys. But then I kind of slapped on paint, did what I could to make the $100 worth it. and she loved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she ended up spreading my name everywhere. I had like, out of that $100 job, I got like 16 full paying jobs, and it just kept going from there.
Yeah.
We ended up getting those properties I told you about.
Right.
And then about 30 days later, that guy pulled all of his properties from me. And so I'm back down to zero.
Yeah.
And I remember the day we got our first duplex after those 12, and I went running home. I'm like, hun, I got a plan. I know we're going to make this successful. With this first duplex, we're making $1,200 this year. And she's looking at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
$1,200, it's nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're going to do this. We're going to make this successful.
Yeah.
And all these years later, slow, steady growth, learning along the way, learning how to grow, learning how to different processes to put in place to make it easier and just simplified.
Yeah.
And even trying to do things like create a difference between me and everybody else out there. Like what makes us different from any other manager.
Right. I'm curious. So you got these 12 properties. We were talking a little bit beforehand, but just for the audience to know, like, tell me about growth. So you've been doing this a long time, and you started this business, and you've got other businesses that you've started. Just tell me about the growth that you've had, and how in that growth, I mean, what's had to change about you in order for growth to happen?
So usually I have to grow before the business can grow. So I have to know that the more accounts we get, no matter what company it is, the more money is spent. And I have to be used to seeing, okay, we just spent $100,000 this month. Okay, I've never spent $100,000 before. I'm used to spending $10,000. Okay, why? And when you're on the hook for, you have all this product you just ordered, and you're on the hook to get that all paid. My business is guaranteed that. And then you're like, okay, what if this owner doesn't pay, or what if this customer doesn't pay?
Right.
I still have to pay that bill to keep good face with everybody. Yeah. So there are challenges like that. I had to get used to large dollar amounts going out there. I had to get used to staff not coming in once in a while, or calling in sick, or, just thing quality not being done correctly.
Right.
And we had to put processes in place for that. And for that stuff, I have a quality control manager that checks out all the jobs now, make sure the customer likes it, make sure the guys did a good job, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But growth in your company, like when it's time to add staff, when it's time to change your process up, I always learned with our property management company, when we start losing customers on a regular basis, I have to examine, okay, are they getting the attention that they need?
Right.
And if the answer is no, is it because I'm taxed and everybody else in the office is taxed? And do we need to add more?
Right.
We had the hardest time breaking to 200 houses.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the hardest. I had the goal of, I should be able to handle 250 myself.
Right.
Well, that's an outlandish goal right there.
Yeah.
In reality, I was handling, for almost a year, I was hovering around 180 to 187 properties, and I could never break that 187 mark.
Okay.
And I met with my mentors again that said, you might be at your max right there. You need to hire people. So it was then I started looking at my process and paying other management companies that are much larger than me for their ideas and their wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And we started implementing a process with people, with software, with everything to get to that next level.
Gotcha.
And as soon as I brought in that next person, we grew another 70 houses right away.
Gotcha.
And then as soon as we implemented the right software, then we started growing exponentially.
Nice.
So then we just hit a new level where I'm like, okay, I feel like we're getting maxed out again.
Yeah.
So we just hired more staff because we want to make sure that we're able to care for the people, the owners and the tenants that we have. Yeah. But before we grow, before I hire those staff members, I always make sure on a practical level that we have, again, that money in the account to cover everything for at least a few months if anything goes.
Right. And so let's talk about that. I mean, I guess you got into this in 2008, so you didn't get to experience it maybe the way I did. I got started in 2004 and then had the crash of 2008, and and that lasted in our business for a long, long time. I mean, it wasn't like it went away in a year or two. It was 4 or 5 years later. Michigan was a slow turn back up to get the economy going. But for you, like, COVID was a big thing. And I kind of imagine when you're in a people business, like property management, like, how did you guys weather that storm?
Oh boy, that one, you can grow through anything. Mm-hmm. You can still, financially, you can still make money through anything. That was actually a good season of being able to reflect because not a lot of tenants were calling us when problems were happening.
Yeah.
Because they knew that whole statement, stay home, stay safe, was going on. And so they weren't calling us into their houses unless there was truly something going on.
There was no issues all of a sudden.
Yeah, all of a sudden.
It was the opposite of us. We were everybody was in their houses and they were like, we want to remodel our kitchen, because they were like, seeing the ugly kitchen that they're
home all day.
Yeah,
seeing that
your tenants are at home just like, don't come in.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how it was. So we had to operate a little different. We obviously had to have the protection gear going in when we had to.
Yeah.
But it was more of the right questions to ask during COVID to the tenants, saying, hey, I understand that you're not working right now. We can be a little more lenient on rent to a certain extent. Here's some programs that can help. But there was also some things we had to do for the owners. We had to say, hey, we're not renewing any contracts during this time. And the reason why was more of a business purpose versus a trying to keep tenants in your house purpose. It was, if we do have to evict somebody for, it can't be for non-payment, but let's say somebody is just trashing your house during this time, then we can let somebody go for just not renewing their contracts. Courts were still open. It might have taken an extra 2 months, but they were still open by Zoom.
Yeah.
But if they were under contract, we couldn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we just had to think of ways. It also launched some other businesses or avenues or departments where we had a lot of squatters moving into houses that we didn't even manage.
Right.
But we were getting phone calls saying, hey, I have squatters in my house. I can't get them out. What do we do?
Didn't do much.
So I'm like, you know what? This is a problem that I want to figure out if I could solve.
Yeah.
Oh my word. I had the funnest time with that.
Yeah.
At first I was like, okay, let's do the shock and awe. I have all head to toe gear. I have paintball guns. I'm like, I'm busting through the door. Hey, get out, get out, get out, get out. Like yelling, trying to do the tactful. And that scared them for a moment, but people always came back.
Yeah.
Even when we boarded up houses. But what it boiled down to was, well, they're squatting in a vacant home. So why don't we squat in a vacant home? Why can't we? So we would go in and live our normal life, pizzas, loud music at night, and just have fun until the squatters left.
Yeah,
because they got so frustrated that we were there interrupting their life. So it actually fostered a whole different department or a whole different level of management.
Yeah. Yeah. So simultaneous, you're going through stuff in the business, and then you also made a big transition during this time of your life, leaving a full-time job at this point. And so just kind of tell us about that experience. And
that was, I would call that crazy now that I look back. I'm glad I did that, and I would not have done it different.
Would other people around you call it crazy?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
In fact, my family did.
Yeah.
When we announced to my family that we were leaving my job, my family looked at me and said, you are crazy. Some even said, I think this is the wrong decision.
Yeah.
We had a full-time ministry job, great salary, great benefits. I mean, honestly, we were kind of living a dream.
Right.
I loved caring for people, but we started getting a plan. We felt like it was time to turn in my resignation. And I honestly thought I was going to retire from that place. But we turned in my resignation in May 2020, departed the end of October 2020, purchased our first established business from an individual November 20th.
Yeah.
And kind of like a fast forward, but I remember on May 8th, 2020, I had never had experienced a panic attack in my life and never have since. But I remember I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And my wife, she's coming in the bedroom, I'm sweating in my face. And she goes, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know. And she goes, I think you're having a panic attack. What's going on? What are you thinking about?
Yeah. And you're thinking I'm having a heart attack, right?
Yes. And
anybody that's had one knows.
I told her, I said, please tell me I'm not going to screw up our family by leaving. And she said, Dave, I think if we're not obedient to God, we will screw up our family. And so I turned in my resignation. And as much as I loved that job, loved that place, and loved what I did, I've had the best time ever since then. I've been able to meet more people than ever before, help more people than ever before.
Yeah. And
we still have a missional mindset to our company, and that is to seed in the kingdom or basically help people out there.
Yeah.
We want to be an aid. We want to be a help. My desire someday is you've seen all those TV shows where people just pull up to a house and say, hey, let's remodel your whole house. And they do it in like 7 days, which I still wonder how.
Yeah.
But
TV.
Yeah, it's TV. Exactly. But I do. I want to go around my area. I want to go around Lansing. I've been all over the world and crazy amount of countries helping people. And it's great to be known globally, but if you're not known locally, something's wrong.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to go locally and say, hey, I want to help you. You need a screen door, let's put it on. You need windows and screens, let's just help you.
Yeah.
I want to be able to bless families out there that maybe couldn't afford stuff that they desperately need.
Right.
During this time, I mean, my wife and I were able, just kind of give an example, we were able to help a family that his wife was dying at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls me, he goes, Dave, I can either pay for my food or I can pay for my rent. I don't know what to do. I said, listen, I got to hold you to your contract. Pay your rent, keep a place to live. Once he did that, my wife and I were able to buy a bunch of groceries for the month and bring it over to him.
Yeah.
I couldn't break his contract in regards. I could be kind, I could be loving, and it's never a reason to be mean. But we wanted to make sure, okay, they chose to keep a roof over their head. Now we want to go help them because we know they have a need.
Yeah. Yeah. You're getting to continue to do what you were doing in your job.
Exactly.
But you're doing it within your business.
Exactly.
And yeah, I mean, that's a beautiful story. I mean, that is amazing. What, you had this panic attack and your wife, thank God for her because, she was the one that I think I know what's going on.
Yeah.
You probably didn't really know what was going on. You're in the middle of that. And I had a panic attack myself and been through that and pretty scary. But I mean, obviously something was going on and you're leaving this job, your family's, kind of questioning you. And what gave you the fortitude to continue on? I mean, you had this panic attack and now it's the next day. Tell us just about what that was like. And, I mean, I know you had your wife as your support. You've mentioned her several times, but I mean, what made you continue on?
Well, like I said just a few minutes ago, I'm the glass half full kind of guy all the time. And I always tell my kids, I'm like, listen, we can't change what's happened in the past, but we can change from starting today moving forward. So I knew, okay, whether the right thing to do or not, I have already turned in my resignation. Today is May 9th. I turned it on May 8th. So I have to make this work. And that is it. I had the excuse and the mindset of failure is not an option. I have a family. We have a plan. And ultimately, God gave us a plan. So therefore, he'll bring all the resources we need and everything that we need to be successful. The one thing I can't determine is a timeline to be successful. I knew we had a business established already, a property management company, and that was able to sustain us, but it wasn't guaranteed. Nothing was guaranteed. So now I'm like, okay, what else? Lord, you gave us a plan for 17 companies. What are we going to do? And when we started negotiating for our first glass and screen shop, again, people thought it was crazy because I knew nothing about windows, nothing about glass, nothing about owning an established business that's been around for over 30 years. Yeah. And going into something where the guy was anti-government and scared of everything. So he hid everything. So going into that, having the mindset of, I can't let this fail. I have to be successful. That right there gave me the grit to keep moving. But then going, okay, what do I need to change? What processes do I need to implement to guarantee that we're going to be successful or making money? I remember, for instance, the glass and screen shop. I remember I had my brother's my business partner in that. He owns a part of it. And I remember texting him one day. He lived in Texas. And I remember texting him one day going, Brandon, look, we just made $200. Like, this is going to cover so much.
Yeah.
And now I look back, I'm like, $200 is small potatoes. Right. But I was so happy to get that first $200 in.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But if I can, it's little things that encourage me. I mean, I'm very easily encouraged and very easily listen to the Lord's voice. And I don't express outwardly a lot. Like I'll internalize a lot because I don't want people around me to know he was going crazy on the inside.
Yeah.
I want everybody to know things are stable. Things are good. But even with the guys that worked for me, the staff that worked for me, letting them know and encouraging them all the time. Like, listen, you are safe. You are good. Even if I go without, I will make sure you get paid.
Love it. Love it. So Dave, as we're kind of getting ready to wrap up here, is there any other thoughts that you would want to just share about your entrepreneurial journey that could, this is the Blueprints podcast.
Yeah.
And so we know that everybody's blueprint's a little bit different, but just maybe a couple of nuggets that maybe you want to close with. And
Definitely. I would say
it's
this.
been awesome to have you on the show. And so, it's awesome to hear other entrepreneurs when we get together to share and hear and be encouraged about the things that you've overcome and all the challenges. But yeah, just go ahead and share a couple of nuggets. And
Thank you. I would say this. I would say everybody has something they're good at. Take what you're good at, step out and try it. Don't let fear hold you back. When you let fear hold you back, you will always stay dependent on other people and dependent on just what you have now. But in reality, you were meant to thrive. You were meant to continue to grow all the way up until the day you pass away and leave this earth. You're meant to grow. So don't let fear hold you back. Step out, try something. My son owns his first business right now. He's 17. And I told him at 16 when he was starting to set up everything was, this is the perfect time to fail. And he goes, what do you mean? I don't want to fail. I said, no. I said, in your situation, mom and dad, we pay for everything. So step out and try something. If you fail, you know how not to do it next time. And so with those that maybe aren't 16 and don't have somebody providing for everything, still step out. There might be a different way you have to do it, but step out, try it, and don't let fear hold you back.